What's good, YouTube? It is Will here from PSYCHONAUT Visions signing back and once again coming at you guys with another video today talking about my shrooms trip and its intentions. Now it is 2 days away from today, which is crazy to think about, and it's ultimately just sinking in as of right now. So I kind of wanted to make a video, part 2, following up on Alex's video about his intentions for his trip. I'm going to follow it up with my intentions, and on top of that, talk about preparation and how I've been preparing. Now, I've been keeping up to date with what I need to do. I've been on top of things. I've been productive as of late. I've been getting all my schoolwork done for the future so that I don't have any homework for the following days after the trip. I've been running, keeping up with exercise, making sure my body's in shape physically, making sure my mind is in shape by meditating and eating healthy, and on top of that, just making sure that everything is all right emotionally, which at times you may not be able to fully control, but there's nothing going on right now that is holding me back, and I feel like ultimately I am ready for this trip and I'm doing as much as I can to prepare. With that being said though, I feel like today was the day I didn't do a great job of. At the same time, I wanted to give myself one day prior to the trip, a few days prior to the trip, to sort of let that sink in that it's close and sort of get my mind and body a rest overall and sort of just kind of have more time to think about it. And ultimately that's why I'm out here making this video today. But you know, I'm not going to beat myself up for that. I had a day where it was kind of down. Nonetheless, I'm going to be productive tomorrow, make sure that I'm in a good space for Tuesday, which is going to be the day we trip. But as for intentions, you know, my last trip was my first bad trip, and I know for a fact that I'm going to have to overcome that fear, that anxiety that's going to arise during the come up of what if history repeats itself? What if I shouldn't have done this and this was a mistake? And I'm going to have even more terrifying of a day than I did last time. Well, right now that may seem kind of like a reach. While I'm coming up and while I'm feeling the effects, it's not going to be, because it's like there's no going back. So I know that those thoughts are going to be there, and it's going to be a challenge that I'm ultimately going to have to overcome. I feel like I've been connecting with nature pretty darn well of late, but nonetheless, I think it's still great to get out into nature, meditate in nature, which is something that I actually don't do. I always meditate in my house, in my room. I never get the opportunity to go outside, go into nature and meditate, which is something that we plan on doing after we take the shroom. So that's going to definitely be interesting, and especially because all of my trips have been in either the winter, the spring, or the summer. I've never had a true fall trip, and I think it's going to be a very interesting thing to see the type of deep state of reflection that we might just be in, looking at nature and looking at the changing leaves colors and all the leaves falling off the trees, and just thinking about the year we've had, thinking about how far Alex and I have come. You know, it's going to be just us two tripping together. So thinking about our old memories as, you know, when we were growing up in our childhood and throughout our teenage years and how far we've come. And I think that's going to be a very amazing bond that we're going to have during the trip. One thing that I've definitely learned about psychedelics is that I'm not going to sit up here and say, I want this to happen, this needs to happen, this is going to happen. Because at the end of the day, I'm not in control of the trip 100%. I can definitely impact my mood going in. I can definitely have an impact on the setting, the set, and ultimately how I feel going in. But at the same time, the ultimate fate of the trip is not 100% decided by me, because once I take the shrooms, it's hands off the steering wheel, man. Anything could happen. An intention of both of ours, and I think a goal that we both set for this trip, is to complete the hike. Now, it's about 3 miles, which, you know, it may not seem like too much, but when you're tripping on mushrooms, that is not an easy hike to complete. And I think if we were to do that, then it would ultimately feel like a journey. Now, obviously, we're going to take some breaks at certain points because we're going to need to take in what we're seeing. But ultimately, I think that's a great goal that we can set for ourselves. And obviously, if we're tripping complete nuts, then maybe you can say, well, it's kind of just not even worth it at that point. But to a certain extent, I think if we have a trip that we're expecting to, then we can ultimately complete that goal of finishing the hike. My last trip really taught me more about myself than any other trip really has. And ultimately, you know, it's things that I already knew, but things that I was kind of denying. In a way, back then I was a poser and I wouldn't admit it to myself, but I would always say meditation is how you get the answers and you got to get out into nature. And in reality, I really wasn't doing that. I was not meditating at all. It took me like a couple months after the trip even to start meditating. And ever since then, I've been meditating every day, or at the very least about 6 days a week. You know, as traumatizing as that experience was, and as hard as it is sometimes to look back on, it definitely taught me the most about myself, and it's definitely been the most influential in terms of who I've become afterwards, except for maybe my one heroic dose, which is the one that I had my spiritual awakening, or the one that sparked my spiritual awakening. At least that's what I think. That being said, I think there's still a lot more to learn more about something that I could put my mind into, put my effort into and work into. Maybe even new ideas for this YouTube channel, or just new ideas in general in life that can kind of get me going and get me feeling motivated and passionate about something, because I don't know exactly what I want to do yet with my life. And I don't think a whole lot of people who are around my age really do. But still, I would like to get a bit better of a sense of direction in terms of where I want to go and what I want to do with my life. So I think that, like I said, well, I'm not going to sit up here and say that that has to happen. I have to get a better sense of direction with my life. I wouldn't mind it. And I think that a trip like this will ultimately have me thinking pretty deep, because first we're starting with the meditation, and because it's the fall time, it's a deep state of reflection. You're thinking more about the past, and ultimately you're in your thoughts more than you would be in any other time of the year. So I think that that's something that I could definitely improve on, is finding a sense of direction. I mentioned the meditation that we're going to be doing during the trip a couple times in this video, and what I want to do is try and get to a deep state of meditation, get to a deep level to where I'm sort of just myself and my thoughts, and I'm not really focused on other things, just me and my thoughts. Sometimes when I do a meditation, I don't get very deep into it, maybe something's on my mind, but other times I get into a pretty deep state of meditation to where it's just me and my thoughts, and it's not like I'm 100% in control of my thoughts, it's just this voice that's talking to me. And in a way, I think that's something that I would like to experience while tripping, because I've never meditated while tripping. That would be very interesting. My heroic dose trip was really the only one that had very insane visuals. After that, none of my trips have really had that many crazy visuals, and I feel like most of them have been more so in my thoughts, and more so just kind of sort of visuals that were sort of just these like swirling images on the ground, or a bit of saturated colors, but overall there wasn't really anything crazy there. And I feel like that's something that I wouldn't mind experiencing. It's a little bit more of a visual effect, and we're lemon teching, so it's going to be even more potent. We're planning on doing 4 grams of penis envy and lemon tech, so it's going to be a shorter duration, but at the same time it will likely be more potent and a quicker trip, a quicker come up. So it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, like I said, I just like to see a few more visuals. I wouldn't mind that. But at the same time, like I keep saying, you can't just go into it saying this has to happen, right? Because that's ultimately up to the psychedelic gods. And if I'm just going to sit up here and say, man, I really want tons and tons and tons of visuals, then I could just very well get slapped in the face. Ultimately, I have a good feeling about this trip, but I can't be overconfident like Alex said in his video, or else you'll get slapped in the face. And that's the thing. I just want to go into this trip staying in a positive mindset, working hard the days prior, and ultimately do whatever I can to be prepared. I've been practicing gratitude lately, which is something that is great. I feel like every night when I go to sleep, I'm just thankful for what I have and thankful for my life. And I think that that's something that I never really did as a kid. I never practiced gratitude. I never was thankful for everything I had. I was just like, oh yeah, whatever. I was just this ungrateful child who was also privileged at the same time. And I feel like over time I've gotten more thankful for what I have. And I think I can still improve with that as well. Something that I would like to do during this trip. But like I said, growing up, man, I was just never thankful for everything I had. So that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And Will from Psychonaut Visions, signing out.